It is Steve, your friendly neighborhood lawn gnome. Welcome back to the old, the new, and the awesome. And welcome back to the basement. That is right, everybody. I am officially back in my normal recording space after not having this domain for the last 5 months due to a visit from Hurricane Ida. But I am so glad to be back in a place that is familiar, a place where I can surround myself with my wonderful pop culture, although Cammy will outdo me in that task any day of the goddamn week. But we are here for the season premiere of season number 2, and I am so glad to have my friends here with me, plus someone brand new to the show that we would like to introduce very soon. But first of all, Cammy, Stacy, it is great to have you guys back for another season. Thank you.
Hey, Steve.
Good to be here, as always.
And I want to welcome a good friend and also a YouTuber that I've known for many, many years, Gina from the channel RandomlyBookishGina. I have been seeing her trying to get back into the YouTube groove, and even though she seems to be so enthusiastic, I don't know why she isn't taking that leap. So I asked her to join this team because I had a feeling that this might give her a little bit of incentive to get creative and bring us some amazing content once again. So Gina, I'm glad to have you here regardless.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. Maybe we can finally bring some sports talk here because I know that you're a big St. Louis Blues fan. Although
yeah.
I'm very, very surprised that Cammy hasn't gone crazy about her 49ers just yet.
Hey, we are getting close to the Super Bowl, so if that happens, I don't want to jinx us, then you know I will not shut up.
Well, listen, let's just all agree that it's going to be a great Super Bowl just because of the fact that a certain man named Tom Brady will not be there.
Oh, whatever NFL gods have shined down upon that moment, that is honestly the best ever.
I gotta be honest.
I do not ever want to see bitch Brady go back to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I have a feeling that at this point in time, he's going to try and see what else can I not eat besides bread to get me even more physically fit for this. I don't know. I mean, ironically, I did not anticipate talking about football at all until we started discussing a certain movie later on. But today, Ben Roethlisberger just officially threw in the towel. He's no longer playing.
Yeah.
So a whole era is gone.
Yeah, I mean, we all kind of knew it was coming, but yeah, that one kind of came out of left field. I was like, whoa, okay, he decided. Here we go.
I got to admit, I am looking forward to the 49ers Rams, but I am a big Matt Stafford fan, and I was watching him on the Detroit Lions for many, many years, so I am sort of kind of rooting for Los Angeles. But anyway, I'm hoping that regardless of anything crazy, that 2002 has gotten off to a tolerable start, because from some of the conversations that we were having before the show went live, I was hearing nothing but horror stories from everybody else. Though everyone in this room does know that 2022 is going to be a monumental year for me because my wife and I will be welcoming a new baby in May. We are very excited. I am glad to say that we're both doing very well. My wife is doing very well, thank goodness. But now we're getting to the point where I actually am making sure that everything is okay. I'm checking on her if she's not feeling well. If she needs to bend down, if she needs to reach up high, I'm always there to make sure that I'm able to catch and do whatever I can. So I'm really transitioning into a whole different world right now. And quite frankly, I'm just anticipating a very large workload, but I think everything is going to be okay. Having my basement back has taken a large piece of stress off of my back. I will say that. But
we're happy for you, Steve.
I know. So I don't want to talk about politics, and I definitely don't want to talk about COVID. That's for sure. But there is something that sort of has been bugging me because we do like to do a hot topic of discussion. So one of the few things that a lot of people bring to people's attention because it happens on the news, and it always seems to happen towards the end of the year and definitely towards the beginning of the year, we start to unfortunately see the passing of famous faces in entertainment that we know and love. And we will admit that we saw the passing of some truly beloved icons of entertainment. I mean, everybody was heartbroken when Betty White passed away just a few days short of her 100th birthday, though when you leave this world and you're 99 years old, regardless, you have truly lived a truly wonderful and special life. But then we started finding out some other big names like famed actor Sidney Poitier, icon, a trailblazer. Probably the biggest surprise for everybody was Bob Saget. I couldn't believe it when I heard that, I got to admit. Or a couple days before that, we lost sports legend John Madden. That was also a big thing. And we also lost a couple of more famous faces. It was absolutely surprising to see so many of these names that we knew just dying one after the other. I mean, they say things come in threes, but my God. And then, you know, right after Meatloaf, we lost Louie Anderson. That was like a double whammy for so many people. But the point that I'm trying to make is I get a little angry when certain things start to trend after the passing of a celebrity. When people start jumping on Twitter, particularly Twitter, talking about how we need to encase all of these older celebrities that we know and love in bubbles so nothing ever happens to them. And also what really seems to get me skeeved is the fact that people seem to care more about these people who probably wouldn't even blink an eye at them because they're just average people, and yet when a relative is sick or passes away, they just brush it off their shoulders. I mean, I know that these are people that have been influential and they shaped our lives, they were welcomed into our homes, but am I wrong to feel that way?
No, but you did hit the nail on the head. I mean, these are celebrities that we grew up with. I mean, Betty White was someone that we all watched, whether you was on the Game Show Network. Obviously, that was a little bit before all of our times, but I mean, in syndication, you certainly were able to see her. She's showcased a ton of television over the years. Hot in Cleveland was one of my absolute favorite shows. And then, of course, The Golden Girls was iconic. So when you grow up with these people, although they are celebrities and they are not tangible, they become part of your family. And, you know, like when Bob Saget passed, I bawled. I was devastated because he was a dad. You know, in all intensive purposes, he was one of my TV dads. He taught me lessons. Every time he sat down with his girls in the living room or in their bedroom and he gave them a life lesson or shared something, you know, sad or got them through something, I too was clued in. You know, he was my dad too in that moment. And I think our generation has been very fortunate to have some amazing actors grace the screen, both in television and in movies. And I think that when you spend that kind of time with them, when you invest that kind of monetary value in them too, because, you know, you're buying the DVDs to bring them home, you're going to the movie theater to encase in these movies, you know, you're sharing them with your own family. You can have a moment of sadness. You can be kind of taken aback. Now, in terms of, you know, comparing it to our own families, I think society and family dynamics has changed so much since the whole inception and idea of what a modern family is. I mean, if we look at the 1950s and 60s and that model family and to what we've kind of moved into in the last 70 years, we've changed a lot. And so people don't connect to their families today like they did 50 years ago. You know, it's unfortunate, it's sad. And I think that, you know, as we come across things that are new and foreign to us, like the COVID pandemic, it kind of puts things into perspective. And, you know, although 2020 brought us a lot of eye-opening moments. One of the most beautiful things that happened in 2020 was the closeness of family, because we realized how important family was, and not having people there, not being able to go over for the holidays or spend birthdays or partake in family traditions and all of these things. So, you know, if somebody gets sick or hurt or something of that nature, yeah, you should gravitate to a family member the same that you would to a celebrity. But look again at our society. We have glorified these actors and celebrities and these athletes to a point where it's kind of putrid. You know, we've just put them on such a pedestal that we look to them for things like political advice and life advice and, you know, how to tie our shoes. And again, I point to 2020 because I think a lot of things came to light with how celebrities are truly very fake in a lot of ways. So when we have people like the ones we've mentioned at the beginning of this segment that are true human beings. I mean, Bob Saget, everybody who talked about him said how genuine he was, you know, that you knew the true Bob. If you ever had the great opportunity to hang out with him or be around him, he truly loved you and embraced you and was a friend to you. So when you have people that to you are real and have never given you the illusion that they're fake or that they've given you any disinformation or that they've become part of a campaign or a slogan or a brand that has been somehow had a negative influence on your life, then yeah, it affects you. It affects you in a great way that you do feel the loss. I don't know, there's a lot to unpack there, and I know it can be contradictory to say in one, you know, breath that we should really break away from the whole idea of glorifying these celebrities, but then on the other hand say some of them are worth our time, but some of them are worth our time because they've given us their time. Look how much time Betty White gave us on the screen. She was 99 and still working.
That is true.
I'll get off my soapbox.
Gina, you're new here. I'd like to get your ideas on this topic.
Well, when you put this in the Google Doc, my first thought was I think people go to social media too much with it, and like that kind of goes on the same thing. Like some people probably just don't post as much when it's personal, when it's family, whereas celebrities, it's like, oh, it's the celebrity, I'm gonna hop on the bandwagon and post rest in peace the celebrity and post all of the stuff that I liked about them. And it's like there's I don't know, it's always when a celebrity dies, it's kind of weird, and it's like I might share a thing or two, but mostly I don't. And like there's been few people that I've like truly like hit me. Robin Williams is one.
Robin Williams, I think, hit us all. I will definitely agree with you. I will say, out of all celebrities that I love that passed away, I still have not gotten over Robin Williams. Robin Williams was a truly, truly special spirit. He was.
So there's certain celebrities that are very like definitely hit, but when it's every celebrity that dies that people do it, that's when it gets a little much. But like Robin Williams and Chester Bennington are my top two that I still haven't gotten over and like really, really hit me. And like otherwise it's like, yeah, that's sad. But again, Betty White was 99.
Yeah,
like that sucks that she didn't make it to 100. Like I know we were all wanting her to, but she was 99. Like
yeah, I mean, it's just kind of funny because of the fact that it was like, you know, Betty White passed away at 99 and everybody was, but again, I think it's because of Cammie saying that, you know, she was such a presence.
Yeah.
You know, like at the earlier point of 2021, we lost Kirk Douglas, but he was over 100. Like that man,
right.
we were wondering when he was going to pass away. It was just a matter of time. I mean, like, I still think the most hilarious thing that I have officially come up with, because this goes way back to when I was a kid, I've officially realized that every single time a celebrity passes away, Keith Richards gets another year added onto his life. I don't know how that man is still alive. My wife and I have agreed there's 3 things that are going to survive the nuclear/zombie apocalypse: Twinkies, cockroaches, and Keith Richards. End of story.
Probably true.
Yeah, on the piggybacking on what you said, Gina, the other celebrity, even though he was not a young man, the one that really hit me hard was Fred Rogers when he passed away.
Yeah.
But that's just because everybody loved Mr. Rogers, you know?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, and Alex Trebek. And
yeah,
Alex
that
Trebek.
one hit me.
That one hit a lot of people.
We were all kind of expecting it though, so it wasn't quite as shocking as some of the ones that are like come out of nowhere.
That is very true. Very, very true. I mean,
But especially like with COVID, working from home, my mom and I got into a tradition of watching wow, why am I blanking on Jeopardy? I had I had to look at my pop to figure out the name of the show. That's sad. But we got to watching Jeopardy on our lunch breaks, and so it kind of that hit.
Yeah, Jeopardy is a big thing in my house. My wife has been trying to get on the show.
Oh,
she
nice.
almost got there. She got to the final round, but she didn't get picked.
Aww.
Yeah, she was really sad. And because Alex Trebek was actually still alive, so she would have gotten that opportunity to meet him. That would have been her dream come true. But yeah, we're always watching Jeopardy over here. We watched Amy Schneider's historic run all the way through. And we are loving Ken Jennings as the new host. And I think the reason why we are is because he's really come into his own in regards to it. And I just appreciated the fact that the day that he officially took that hosting job for that first guest host, he said it right there in front of the whole world. No one will ever replace Alex Trebek, but we can honor him. And I appreciate that.
I think I used to get a lot more upset about certain celebrities when I was younger. I can remember vividly when Kurt Cobain died and I was in high school, and that was just, all of us girls were in the bathroom crying together, like that was a really big deal. But I feel like as I age and as I'm watching these celebrities age, and, it's like, I guess I just become a little like, it happens, like we're all dying, we're just, I don't know, it just doesn't hit me as hard as it used to hit me, a long time ago. But I will say, when Denzel Washington goes, I will be a hot mess, because he's like one of the only people I still hold out hope that he's a decent human being from Hollywood. Like, I think he's still decent, where the majority of people from Hollywood, I'm like,
yeah.
Like, I don't like any of them. I do feel bad that Betty White didn't make it to 100, though.
Yeah, I mean,
I was rooting for her.
I like the theory of take out all the leap years, and she did.
There you go. There you go.
I like that theory.
Yeah, I have a feeling there's going to be like a day of mourning that the day Tom Hanks passes away. I just feel it, because everybody loves Tom Hanks. But I remember when my mom's favorite actor passed away. My mom was one of the biggest fans of Jack Lemmon, and she didn't even bat an eye. She was like, yeah, it happens. What can I tell you? I mean, it's sad that he's gone, but she did get a little taken aback when Robin Williams did pass away. That was, again, I agree with you, Gina. That was really, really sad.
It's like Gina said, though, it just depends on the age of the celebrity, because when a celebrity reaches a certain age bracket, you kind of start to prepare yourself. Like, ooh, this could be the year, this could be the decade, that we lose such and such actor. But when they go because they've chosen to, or when something medical is going on that we're not privy to because the family or the actor or celebrity of the regard has chosen not to share that, then it becomes a shock. And then it's like, okay, let me deal with that first, and then after I get over the shock of knowing, or kind of coming to the why, or trying to understand the why, then I can mourn. And again, it goes back to what I said earlier, how much of a connection you made with that particular celebrity. But I think, yeah, given the age and given the conditions behind it, you kind of are able to do that. But I think a lot also, I wanted to piggyback off of something you said, Gina, was with social media. We have become such a ridiculous society of firsts, where we just want to be the first one to post it, where some people, I mean, look, when Tom Petty was in the hospital, he wasn't even dead yet, and they were already posting that he was dead, just so they could be first.
Yeah, Tom. Oh man, that was hard. I was a big Tom Petty fan. That was just sad.
When did he die?
Just remember
a couple years ago.
Yeah, a couple years ago. Yeah,
like 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I completely forgot that Eddie Van Halen died last year.
Oh, that was sad.
I've already got his Funko Pop on pre-order. I must have it.
So do I. No, but I mean, in terms of the first thing, like the example I give is because his daughter was absolutely just devastated with having to deal with it all. And then she was having to fight all of these different avenues, to include the Rolling Stone, you know, telling him, hey, get off my dad already. He's not even dead. He's not cold. And here I am sitting with him in the hospital. And because you are the Rolling Stone magazine, you want to be first to announce it. And then they retracted it. And then, of course, he died a couple of hours later. But we need to get out of that mindset. But because we are so glued to technology and to our cell phones and wanting to be the first and wanting to get the most likes and the most follows and go viral, we have created this monster at what cost? At the cost of human lives, human souls, you know? So what kind of price is that giving people? It's a really sad world we live in when that's the most important thing to people. And I think a lot of these individuals that do post about celebrities, you know, you touched on that, Steve, they could give two shits about these people a year ago, 5 years ago, their career, you know, most of anything about them. I mean, if you probably questioned most of them, they couldn't tell you anything. And I only put things out about celebrities that genuinely touch me. I mean, Louie Anderson was huge for me, but I didn't post anything because I hadn't followed his career in years, you know, to be quite frank. The last time I really was invested in him was in the 90s when he had his cartoon. But beyond that, I haven't followed his comedy. Obviously, he was sick, you know, so I just think that there is a lot of fake people out there that give fake empathy and fake sympathy just for the sake of follows and likes, and that's pathetic.
Yeah, that was basically me. That was basically me with Meatloaf. Like, I knew more about Meatloaf as an actor than I did as a music star. I knew some of his songs, but I wasn't really his biggest fan. I mean, and I was, and you know, sometimes, you know, especially when Sidney Poitier died, because I knew that he was like an iconic man who really changed the way that movies were looked at forever with some of his performances. But, you know, younger generations don't really know about his impact. And then you take a look at how the world basically stopped when Chadwick Boseman passed away. But I could understand why people were so devastated with Chadwick Boseman, just because of the fact that he was very young, but everybody admired him because of the fact that he did all of this work while he was sick, and he knew he was sick, and he didn't want anybody to know that he was sick. So he was still going to work. He filmed Black Panther while he had cancer. That was incredible to hear when I found out about that. So I can understand why people would be a little bit more crushed by his passing than someone whose career they didn't even know about. What I actually did not know about regarding Bob Saget was when the COVID pandemic started, I didn't know that he made a podcast. He made, and it's all on YouTube. It's called Bob Saget Is Here For You. I did not even realize that he made that. And I thought that that was one of the sweetest things. He got Full House cast members on his show. He got other actors and comedians, everyone from like Gilbert Gottfried to Bill Burr to BJ Novak to his own wife on the show at one point in time. So I was really surprised by the fact that he actually did that. And again, like Cammie said, when the pandemic started, we all learned a little bit more about ourselves and our families, and we also tried to find ways to make ourselves entertained throughout that entire time. I got back into comics at the right time. That really helped me. So yeah, you learn a lot about people. I think that's what's also very interesting. You learn about some of these celebrities when they pass away, because there are some things that you might not even know about them.
Yeah, but it's just kind of sad that, you know, things even like podcast didn't get the recognition it deserved until after his passing, because nobody really, I mean, even the charitable foundation that, you know, he had been working at pretty much his entire life, you know, when his sister passed away, he had so many fundraisers for that. And now all of a sudden, all the attention and spotlight is on it again. And it's wonderful, don't get me wrong, but again, it's kind of a skewed catch-22, you know, it's like, okay, so we only care about this now?
Right.
I mean, he's been advocating for this his entire existence, his entire career.
Yeah. That's the same with how everyone was like, oh, for Betty White's 100th birthday, everyone choose an animal
Yeah.
to donate to, which like is great, but we should be doing that anyway.
All the time. Yep. Agreed.
Like, why
Yeah.
isn't it just after someone dies that we should do that?
I agree, definitely. So speaking of feeling really old, I actually celebrated New Year's Day by actually I did two things. One that didn't make me feel so old. Actually, no, it did, actually. I went to see Spider-Man No Way Home. That was one. So that was pretty damn awesome to experience, even though I had to wear a KN95 mask during the entire show. But yeah, that was one of the best movies that I ever saw. And I will say it was so amazing to basically, like, what was I going to expect when I saw that movie? I was basically going to expect everything that the spoilers were saying, and I was expecting absolutely nothing at all. That's basically what I did when I went into that movie. And I got a movie that I truly loved, except for one little fanboy matter, which would not make or break the film, but just to see what they pulled off and to get all of these famous faces to reprise all of these roles that at this point in time in 2022 have now officially been in existence for the last 20 years, because the original Tobey Maguire Spider-Man hit theaters in 2002. So to get Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield back and all these other great names, whoa, that was amazing. And it's also kind of funny when there are all these interviews that are being had right now and how everybody is begging for a third Spider-Man film with Andrew Garfield. And Andrew Garfield's response was, where the hell were all you people in 2014? Right. But no, I had a great time with it, and I gave that movie 3.5 out of 4 stars. I didn't think it was the best movie that I ever saw. I still think that there are better MCU films out there, but I was hoping that it was going to be Spider-Man versus the Sinister Six. We got close, but we didn't get there yet. But I have a feeling, based on all the money that this movie has made, because it's already grossed over $1 billion, that is incredible, and you can't blame COVID on that. That's for sure. Right. But wow, I had to wait a little bit. I had to wait a little bit to finally see it. It took me 3 weeks until I finally saw it in theaters, but it was worth it. And I cannot wait to own that movie. I know that Gina saw it too.
I saw it twice, I think, opening week. I saw it the Thursday night it came out, and then again like that following Tuesday.
It's fun. It was
a lot of fun. It was really great. Like, I've been going back to the theater since I got my vaccine in March last year. And so, like, I've seen a lot of movies back in the theater, but it was really nice being back in a packed theater with everyone reacting to everything. It was fantastic. Lots of cheers at the reveals. It was great.
I got to be honest with you. Even before COVID, I was not going into movies in opening weekend because I just didn't want to be with the crowd. I want to actually listen. I don't want to be there with everybody screaming over the dialogue. I don't want those parents to bring their 6-year-old to a rated R movie because they can't find a babysitter.
But MCU movies are fun when the crowd's getting going.
That is true, because I do remember the crowds when we went to go see Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. That was pretty awesome. I do remember that.
Other movies, not so much, but MCU movies are good with the crowd.
I will agree with you. And the other thing that I did that day was my wife and I went to see, get together with our friends, and we got to watch the 20th anniversary Harry Potter reunion special on HBO
I watched that when
Max.
I got home that day.
That melted my heart. That was one of the, forget about all the controversy that's surrounding the creator of this world. You know, I'm not going to be one of those people that is going to call her she who must not be named. Her name is J.K. Rowling. She created this world. She is fuck you rich, as we like to say, which I personally enjoy saying a great many times. But you know something? This is something that belongs to the fans. We love these characters. We love these actors. We love this world. And it was just amazing to see what they were able to do to get them, at least most of them, to come back and sit down and reflect on this. And I will say one of the most impressive and things that makes me so happy is that each and every one of these actors, minus maybe one or two, didn't get into any serious issues with tabloids or drugs or anything like that. They all seem to be fine, even if some of them are not even acting anymore.
It was a great celebration. I enjoyed it. I had to watch it just because, I mean, I wasn't a Potterhead until the movies came out. I didn't, get all involved in the books because I was in my early 20s when the books started to roll into bookstores. And so it's not that I wasn't into reading kids material, it's just that I didn't really know what it was about, and I'm like, okay, so it's this little wizard kid, whatever, and then I started working in the kids section at my bookstore, and my friend, my coworker, she's like, what do you mean you haven't read Harry Potter? Like, how are you into kids stuff and you haven't read it? You need to do this like tonight. So I went home, and in one sitting I just gobbled up the Sorcerer's Stone, and I laughed and I cried and I was just smitten. And so at that point, they were on the third book, and that's when the first movie was slated to come out. But I would go to every midnight showing with my mom and my sister. So it was like the thing that we did, so that was part of I still call it my youth. I was in my early 20s and I had fun with it, and we did that throughout the entire 7 films. And I wanted to see their faces again. I just wanted to go back to Hogwarts. I never got my invitation via OWL. So I figured, you know what, why not take the Hogwarts Express back and just see what's going on? And they're wholesome. The entire cast is just a very wholesome crew. And it was just very heartwarming to kind of hear how the experience has affected them, how humble they really are by it all. And I think the one that made me cry was Hagrid, because he was like,
I won't be here, but Hagrid will be.
I won't be here, but somebody will still be watching this for the first time. And I'm just like, oh my God, you won't be here in 50 years,
Yeah.
And it hits
I think that
you,
got everybody.
Yeah, but I mean, I cried a couple of times, but it was magical. And I think that's what Harry Potter really is for everyone. It's just, it's true, pure magic.
Yeah, and I think it was really nice that they actually did that little in memoriam for all the actors and even all other people that worked on all the films behind the scenes, and even some of the actors who really didn't get a big role, like they basically tributed to everybody, and that was definitely very important. Yeah, it was wonderful. I think the funniest thing about this is that 20 years later, and the biggest fan of Harry Potter based around everybody that worked on those films seems to be Tom Felton. Like, I've never seen it's like you never would have imagined that in a million years. Everybody loves Tom Felton because he is just so into this. Yeah, I got into the books right before the movies came out. Same thing with Lord of the Rings, as a matter of fact. So I was very much in this world, and I just love this story. I love these characters. I love a lot of the plot points. Like, I think what was really nice was just the conversation that me and my wife and our friends had after the reunion was over. Like, we just talked a lot about it, and we were just very, very satisfied with what we got. It was a truly great production, like the books, like the movies. There was a lot of tender love and care that was put into making this as special as it possibly could be. And back in 2018, my wife and I went to Universal Studios and went to the theme park for the first time. That was, it just shows you how so many people have latched onto this story. It hits you in so many different ways. And that's why whenever those new illustrated editions come out, I am just so excited to read it, because I really feel it's like reading those books for the first time.
Oh, I'm addicted to the Mina Lima editions.
Yeah,
those
I was just going to bring those up. They're
gorgeous. Let me tell you, those are worth the money there.
Yes, they are.
That's the best investment on. I look over here because it's my Harry Potter. I have no Harry Potter behind me, but it's all over here.
I've got most of mine on our mantle.
Yeah, I'm.
Well, I have more than I probably should have than I set out. Most of it is the Funko Pops, but over the years I've gotten little trinkets here and there. But I have no shame with my Harry Potter collection. It's special to me. And you know, when we're talking about the cast and everything, I think for me, watching that special, the really cool thing was hearing the vantage point from all the different directors. Because one of the most confusing things for me as a fan was, why all the directors? You know, I'm like, why wouldn't the first person have wanted to direct all 7? But to hear how the cast embraced each director and how they felt each director added something unique and special was so much more magical and special to me, because I'm like, well, maybe that's exactly how it was supposed to be. You know, maybe it wasn't about, there was controversy behind the scenes. It just worked. You know, they specifically curated a perfect director for each book. And
exactly.
I think that's really great. So that was a really fun element to watch.
Yeah, I mean, my Harry Potter Ultimate Editions are right there behind me. Those are like the best DVD/Blu-rays that I can have of these films. I don't have a big Funko Pop collection. I actually do have the Hogwarts Express, the 3 train cars. I do have those, and a couple of special editions. But I have my wand collection over there. I have 5 wands. Yes, I do own a Hogwarts tie for my house. I do own a Hogwarts robe from my house. So I am someone who truly is a fan of them. And I'm just like always popping on Amazon or like Googling like, when is Order of the Phoenix Illustrated Edition coming out, because I really want to read the rest of this story in an illustrated edition form. I really, really do.
I would say, speaking of Funkos, I'm pretty sure my first Funko was Buddy the Elf from Elf, but the first Funkos that got me into Funkos was Harry Potter.
Nice.
I read the books. I lived in England as the books were coming out, and
That's
I read the books in England.
Oh, nice.
And I read the first book, and it talked about Harry going to King's Cross, the train station, to take the train to Hogwarts. And I used to ride that train to get to London. And so it was extra magical for me because I knew the places in the book that they were talking about.
That's cool.
I don't know if I would
think
ever.
I read the first 3 or 4 books in England.
I don't know if I would ever get to England, but there are 2 specific things that I must explore while I'm there, and that is anything Harry Potter and anything Beatles. That's me. That's all I need to do while I'm in England.
They had Harry Potter like life-size cutout things all over King's Cross train station.
That's amazing.
When the books were coming out, so you could go and like take photos with Harry Potter and stuff.
That's
and this
cool.
is before the movies, before it was popular like in America. It came out in England first, so it was an experience.
I think I've asked you this before, Stacy, but I don't remember the answer. Do you have the English editions of any of the books since you were there?
I'm assuming that's what I got because we bought them there. I think so.
Those are very valuable.
I want to say yes, because I feel like there was something about like bangers and mash or something, or the way how they called the food in one of the books. And it was the British way of saying the food versus the American way.
The title is different.
Yeah,
the title is different
for the first book.
The Philosopher's Stone. So, but no, I was just going to say, speaking of houses, because you were talking about having that. So from the inception of the movies, ever since I started watching, of course, I was in love with Alan Rickman. He was just my dream guy. You know, I absolutely just wanted everything to do with him. And so I basically sold my soul to Slytherin, and all of the merchandise that I got was Slytherin merchandise, and it was just all green and black. And then it was actually around the time I started my YouTube journey that I decided, you know what, I'm going to take the Pottermore quiz and see kind of just what my house might be.
You're a Hufflepuff, aren't you?
I'm going to answer these questions. No, I'm not. My sister's a Hufflepuff. But I started, you know, just thinking there's a system to this question answering. I'm going to find all the dark questions. I'm going to find all these, you know, just I'm going to get into this, right? And I'm a Ravenclaw. And I actually filmed my reaction afterwards, but for some reason I couldn't get the video to render properly, but I still have it. I was devastated. But then when I realized what a Ravenclaw was, I was like, okay, yeah, I am a Ravenclaw through and through, and I got some Ravenclaw representation. But now I refer to myself as a Slitherclaw just because my heart is still with Slytherin, but I am a bona fide Ravenclaw. So
I also
nice mix of green, black, and blue.
I sorted myself on the official movie website long before there was a Pottermore quiz, so I never sorted myself again. I am also a Ravenclaw, but I will also say, Cammie, I am also a Slitherclaw because I have seen the personality traits that I have taken on as a professional, and they are very, very Slytherin. Keep your eye on the prize, do the daily grind, work your tail off. Like you are very, and like try to get ahead as best way as you possibly can. I am totally somewhat Slytherin, and I'm not upset about that. I'm not upset about that at all. And my wife is a Ravenclaw too. But if she wasn't a Ravenclaw, like I'd be hearing the galloping of the four horsemen in the background right about now.
I've done the test that breaks up percentages to like how much percentage you are of each house, and Slytherin, Ravenclaw, and Hufflepuff are all like pretty much the same, and then Gryffindor I'm like barely none. But I definitely identify with Slytherin for sure.
So there's another thing that I watched that was also celebrating an anniversary. Actually, it was celebrating its 40th anniversary. I watched one of the greatest teen comedies I've ever seen in my life for the umpteenth time just because we were celebrating it. And I never talked about it on my channel until today. I rewatched Fast Times at Ridgemont High. What a movie. I love that movie to death. And I got to admit, watching it now in the society that we're living in, that movie was truly ahead of its time. You know, like I am incredibly amazed that I'm like, wow, strong, sex-crazed young women and like just doing everything that they can to get laid. That's like, wow, that is definitely something that was way ahead of its time in the 1980s. Love it all.
I haven't seen that movie since I was a kid and had no business watching that movie. So
I still am surprised that Sean Penn never did another comedy after that because he was iconic as Spicoli, and the way that he plays off of Mr. Hand, which is my favorite character of the whole movie. Mr. Hand is my favorite character. He's like my favorite teacher in entertainment next to Mr. Feeney, and I just love how he's like, I'm going to teach these kids something come hell or high water, whether they like it or not.
You watched the Fast Times reunion? I think it was 2020, where Brad Pitt and Jen Aniston and Sean Penn. There was a huge cast. Julia Roberts. They all read parts and pieces of it. It was fantastic. It's on YouTube. If you haven't watched it, you should watch it. It was a lot of fun.
A table read, you mean?
Yeah, it was a table read for Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Oh, that is so cool. I mean, I also love the music in that movie too. It's also
the music, iconic.
Yeah, it's also really cool to see a time in the world where mall culture was very much praised. Although I will say,
I miss that.
I will definitely say that the mall culture is definitely still very much alive and well where I live. And I think that that's just because of the fact that in the tri-state area of the United States, it's just because there are so many malls and it is so easy for people in these three states to get from one mall to another and not really have to go like a large distance to get to one. I think that's the reason why malls are still thriving in New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. It's just because they're so easy to get to. And especially now, people, when they have the ability to finally go back out again, you know, people want to get out. People want to do things. I mean, it would be sad if the whole concept of the shopping mall went completely to waste, but there's a lot of different things that malls are trying to do to make sure that they're still somewhat alive. Like they're adding more like things that people could do during the day for a while, like bowling alleys and ice rinks. And they're bringing arcades back now. Did you guys know that?
I wish.
They
It's
are.
not at my mall.
Yeah.
We had one. It wasn't in the mall. Well, there was one in the mall, but like we had one that was like just our own like arcade shop and not shop, restaurant. And then the last time I was up there, I looked and it's no longer there, which was kind of sad.
Yeah.
So I guess it didn't do
Culture
well.
is not here. Like because I have 2 teenagers, and I say all the time, like, get the hell out of my house. Like, why don't you go to the mall or something? Because that's what I used to do when I was their age. And they look at me like I'm crazy. Like, who goes to the mall, mom? Like, what do you do at the mall? And I'm like,
You hang out.
That's where the fun is. You hang out. You run into people. You get phone numbers, right? And they're looking at me like, no.
Nah, I'm still a labeled mall rat. I love going to the mall. I love, even if I don't end up buying anything, like I think what was really nice is like where I live now, there is a mall that just has all of these stores that I love to shop in. Like the mall that I used to go to was I was in high school and college. Like it's gotten so upscale now. Like it's all designer clothing, and like the only decent store there that I would ever go into is either like a Hot Topic or a GameStop. I still go to Hot Topic because that's where my culture is. But I love the fact that there is a Newberry Comics in my mall now, so I go there. I mean, it is sad to know that there's no longer Disney stores anywhere. They're all gone now. But yeah, they all closed. That
was a bigger structured plan though, because they're going to start opening small little Disney stores inside Targets now, which I think is the stupidest idea ever. It's like Target can't stand on its own 2 feet and it doesn't have enough crap for us to go and throw in our carts. So now they're going to have mini Disney stores in some select Targets, and they're going to have mini Toys R Us in other select. And I'm like, why couldn't we just keep those alive in our country? I don't understand the need for, mass closure and then to open up mini versions of it in a store that already stands apart, So I don't agree with that, but I don't know. I'm kind of fearful of the future of malls and shopping in person, because I really feel that the pandemic caused people to shop from home. And I think the focal point is shopping from home. And me personally, there are some stores that I will not go in since 2020 because customer service is atrocious. People are just rude. The stock, the inventory of the stores are not the same. They haven't been the same, and they've actually changed quite a bit because, I mean, granted, we're still in a serious shipping issue in our country in terms of getting stuff back on the shelves anyway, so I know that's contributing to it, but it's almost like people got comfortable with that and they tailored their stores to accommodate with no intention of expanding again or getting back to what they were. I don't want to say normal because I hate that word, but I really fear for where we're going to be in terms of in-person shopping in the next decade.
Well, I'll let you in on a little positive note, Cami. As a matter of fact, the sales numbers for the holidays for brick and mortar were through the roof this past year. People actually got out of their houses and did their holiday shopping in person as well as online. I think they actually said that the numbers for brick and mortar actually surpassed the online numbers this past year. And I think it's just because of the fact that people wanted to get the hell out of their houses and actually go somewhere. I think that's really what it was.
Well, that just doesn't, I understand what you're saying, but it doesn't give me a lot of hope for the future, because I feel that was the only reason why, that people were cooped up for a year and a half. And so all they wanted to do was get out and shop and experience the holidays and see things. But one of the biggest complaints in holiday shopping was, where's all the Christmas? Where's all the holiday? Where's all the cheer? Where's all the lights? Where's all the things that we're used to? Because none of that was there. And so then what did people want to do? I just want to go back home and I want to shop online. So and then too, we have to think about all of the stimulus checks that people received. That certainly helped stimulate the economy in that period. And so I don't think that that surge is going to be seen again anytime soon. That's just my personal opinion.
Okay. When you're able to actually come to New York, I'll take you to a mall in my area and you'll see how busy it is. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised.
I would love to go to New York. New York is on my bucket list of things to do in this life.
Yeah, But I
More
will
so just because I want to see the big Christmas tree. That is the biggest thing. I just want to be Kevin McAllister for 10 minutes.
Then wouldn't you want to go to the Plaza Hotel instead?
Well, I would love to go to the Plaza, but even that I heard has changed quite a bit. So
I don't know. I've never been in there.
I would like to see the traditional New York, so I would let you steer me in that direction. But more than anything, Steve, it's the delicatessen. That's where it's at.
Well, I'm hoping that some of those will still be open when you get here, because those things are closing everywhere too. I was really upset because you know, when there was a time when Jen was not really feeling very well and she was driving home, and in southern Westchester, near where she works, there was a deli that we were always going to called Ben's. It's a chain, as a matter of fact. There's a couple that are still around, and she wanted to go get some matzo ball soup just to cure her cold. And she calls me up, and I was actually at the office, and she goes, "Did you know that our Ben's closed?" I was like, "Oh no." I was like, "No, I'm sorry. Jewish deli, that's something that I'm hoping doesn't die." A lot of people are thinking that it's going to at some point in time, but I really hope it doesn't. Anyway, so I saw a lot of movies during the last couple of months of the year, and so did Gina, apparently. And I'm excited to talk about some of those, but I want Cammie to go first, because Cammie saw a specific movie that actually knocked Spider-Man No Way Home out of the top spot very recently. Even though it's made all that money, Cammie didn't go to see Scream 5.
I was supposed to, and then I didn't. I still want to see it, though.
You must go see it. So
you liked it?
Remember seeing the first Scream. Oh, I loved it. Oh my God, yes, I loved it. I cried 4 times.
I wouldn't see it until I heard from you.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
And I think I would be crushed.
No, that is such an honored comment. Thank you very much that you would wait for my opinion.
Yeah,
because I loved it. I thought it was beautifully done. I think the biggest complaint that I'm seeing from people that truly don't understand the franchise is that it's very meta. But if you take it back to the inception, that is exactly what Scream is. Scream has literally been making fun of itself and every other slasher film since its inception. If you look at the history of Scream, that's exactly what Wes Craven did when he created Scream. The slasher industry was virtually non-existent in 1996, and he came back with this idea to put the industry on its head, to take everything that we knew and kind of laugh with it. And that was genius, you know? And I mean, I cannot sing enough praises about Wes Craven. He is hands down my favorite horror director of all time. But Scream was perfection. It did exactly what I had hoped it would do. It honored Wes in such a beautiful way, and it brought back our beloved characters. And that is something that is always very important to me, especially when you carry out a franchise as long as this franchise has been, you know, in existence for 20 years now, or 25 years. When you look at things like Nightmare on Elm Street, they did that too, you know, where they kind of wrapped it up in the end. And again, that's Wes Craven. When you can beautifully do that, and you can take something that's kind of just been thrown through the meat grinder, and we've seen it all, we've heard it all, we've done it all, and still surprise you, and still make you laugh, and make you terrified, and make you cry. That's the last thing I expected to do going into this movie, is to cry. But there is just this beautiful scene between Deputy Riley and Gel Weathers that almost mimics real life for a second, you know, because they were married in real life, and you just kind of stop and you're like, oh man, that hit home, you know. And there's just, like I said, there's a beautiful tribute to Wes Craven in this, and it's an honor to be a fan, and it's an honor to be honored as a fan. And so when you have, when you have Kevin Williamson coming back and kind of just saying thanks for being here, you're grateful, you're humble to be in that seat, you know. And it was just a fun experience, and I highly recommend it. I will be owning it. I will see it again. And I hope that everybody goes and sees it because it was worth seeing, and it was fantastic.
I will now.
Good.
Yeah, I was
it's on my
hoping
list.
I wouldn't fuck it up. So
I don't know. I mean, like, I was never the biggest fan of the franchise, but my attitude was if they were able to get Neve Campbell to come out of hiding, there's got to be something good about this movie. That was my attitude when I saw that.
And the beauty is, you know, having the original cast back, it wasn't overdone. I mean, they really do let the new cast shine the way that they're supposed to. But that is the beauty of having Neve Campbell, and you know, she's Neve. She takes the screen exactly when she's supposed to. She has the perfect lines. She has the perfect timing, and she's still the best final girl, in my opinion. You know, everybody wants to say it's Jamie Lee Curtis, and don't get me wrong, hail to Jamie Lee Curtis, but I really feel that Neve Campbell is the quintessential final girl. She just checks all the boxes for me. And maybe I'm a little bit biased because she was of my generation.
Mm.
Yeah, she's my final girl.
she's our final girl.
But I love her, and she still looks fantastic for her age. You know, she just, I hate to say that because as a female, that's the last thing you want someone to say. You look great for your age. But I mean it with all due respect. You know, I mean, she's perfect in every positive way. She's not Mary Poppins, but she's
even though it is not part of Scream at all, because of the fact that they got Neve Campbell, did they find a way to sneak closer to Free by the Bodines in that movie by any chance? Just curious.
I don't know.
Party of Five reference.
Oh, not a Party of Five fan. Sorry.
Okay. I never watched the show. Never watched the show, but I love that song. I was just wondering if they really wanted to get the fans to go balls to the wall crazy. Stick that song in there.
Not much Party of Five?
That was not a show for me. I was watching The Simpsons.
Tammy,
I was a Dawson's Creek. No, I love Dawson's Creek. I loved I'm trying to think what Seventh Heaven.
Oh my gosh, I love.
You were also watching that. You were not watching. You were watching 90210.
Yes.
Oh, very much so. Gosh, yes. I love
Melrose
90210. 90210 is my thing. But the thing with 90210 is I didn't jump into it until later in the game because I was too young when they were in high school. So I jumped in, I want to say about the 4th or 5th season is when I became a 90210 fan and then finished it off to the end of it. But Party of Five, I mean, I like the concept of it, but I could just never connect with the actors. For me, I either had to have a crush on somebody or just love the storyline and be really invested in their life, and Party of Five just never did it for me.
I remember so many girls in high school going crazy over Scott Wolf. I remember that distinctly. Not so much Matthew Fox, though.
That would be me.
No, there was never a moment where I'm like, oh, he's a dreamboat. No, I was just like, oh, you know what? I used to get those teen magazines with little fold outs and stuff like that, and every time I'd get one I'd be like, ew, he's gross, and throw it away.
Now I was watching Seinfeld. I was watching the end of Married with Children. I watched Third Rock from the Sun at that time. I was watching all those things.
I had a little bit of a crush on Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I just thought he was the cutest thing, and I had no idea we were even remotely close in age. I always thought he was significantly younger than me, but I just thought he was.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt is awesome. I will always say that I think my favorite movie that he was ever in was 500 Days of Summer. I just love that movie.
Absolutely.
That is my wife hates that movie. She hates
it.
Yeah. The Simpsons was basically what I was watching the most when I was that age. It was all Simpsons all the time for me. Okay, so I've got a question for you, Gina. Why didn't you like Don't Look Up? Because I actually really liked that movie.
Like what?
Don't Look Up.
I think it's because I wasn't in the mood for it. I was enjoying how it was shot. I was enjoying the overall atmosphere of it, but like storyline, just when I sat down to watch it, I don't think I was ready for it, and I just didn't care. So it was to the point where I was watching, I'm like, okay, it's got to be getting close to the end. Like, it's got to be almost done. Like, this is an okay movie. And I went to pause it to go to the bathroom or something, and I had 40 minutes left, and I went, no.
I mean, look, to be fair, that movie was the most in-your-face allegory for what's going on in the country right now. That's exactly what.
Part of it.
Yeah, I think that was just something that seemed to annoy a lot of people. But
knowing what it like is and like how it is, if I go into it with the right mindset, I could probably finish it. Because like I was enjoying it, like as far as like a film, but as far as like what it was about and where my mind was that day, I did not care.
Is this on Netflix?
Yes, the movie with Leonardo DiCaprio. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it.
I saw the trailer and laughed at it. It looked funny. And Adam McKay, I haven't seen many of his films, but I do love The Big Short. That's an amazing film with Ryan Gosling and Christian Bale and a couple of other famous faces. But I was like, you know something? It's a good director. It's got Leonardo DiCaprio, Jennifer Lawrence, Timothy Chalamet, a whole bunch of other famous faces. And I'm like, let me just give it a shot. It's on Netflix. I can watch it from my Netflix subscription. And I had a good time with it. I thought it was fun. I mean, I definitely got the message there. Yes, it's definitely a little leftist, if you will, because that's unfortunately what Adam McKay is. But I was entertained. I laughed. You know, that's what I got out of it.
There were parts I was laughing at. I especially loved Timothy's line of the "I love fingerling potatoes." That was great. But I just was not feeling it.
Listen, I'm just glad. I think that this is the break. 2021 was definitely the breakout year for Timothy Chalamet, all because of the fact that he finally got into one of those big budget films because, God, he was so good at Dune. I can't wait to see the next movie. But there was another interesting movie that came out, and I know that 3 of us in the room saw it. Cammie, do you want to talk about The Matrix Resurrections?
A lot to say. I'll leave it to you two because obviously you guys enjoyed it a little bit more. Well, no, you gave it the same rating I did. Here's my take on The Matrix. You couldn't watch it? Is that what you said?
No, I watched the first 30 minutes and I had to turn it off.
There was only one thing that kept me watching. The only thing that kept me watching through the entire film could only be summed up in 3 words. Neil Patrick Harris. He was the best part of the movie.
So I watched the first, this was what, 4?
Yeah, number 4.
So I watched the first 3 last year for the first time. So I don't know, like watching this one, it was just kind of there. Like it was fine. I kind of liked how meta it was about like, should we do this? Should we not do this? That was kind of fun. But like same thing, like you said, Stacy, you watched the first 30 minutes and couldn't do it. I watched the first 30 minutes and fell asleep. So I finished it over like 3 days.
I mean, here's the thing. The first 3 films, I mean, I know there's so many people that don't like the other 2, but
I thought they were fine.
Well, the truth of the matter is, I think the main reason why there was a great consensus of people who didn't like Reloaded and Revolutions is because they just didn't get it. This was one of the very first times where anime storytelling, Japanese storytelling, was used in an American-made film by the Wachowskis. And it's something very different. It's very complex. I mean, look, one of the few things that I've learned about anime is sometimes you don't even have an ending. Sometimes you just see a certain story end at a certain point, and you've got to figure out how that story goes at the end. And some people were upset that, you know, it got 2 sequels, the original. Why didn't you get a prequel to see how this all started? Well, the Animatrix came out and you could have watched all those little short anime films, which are wonderful. But as a whole, I think that the original trilogy is fantastic. And then when I found out that the 4th movie was coming out, I'm just like, why? I mean, don't get me wrong. Keanu Reeves is on fire right now. He's John Wick, for crying out loud. He's writing a comic book for Boom Studios right now. The man can do whatever the hell he wants and people will pay him money. I mean, he made an appearance in the latest SpongeBob film. That's how active he is right now. But, you know, I didn't want to see it on the big screen. I didn't,
Yeah,
even
I
though The
watched it
Matrix
on
is
HBO.
even though The Matrix is the reason why they made movie theaters in the 1990s. I just had no real interest, but I'm like, thanks to having streaming services, even though I am still very much against them, if it's here and I have the ability to watch it because I can, then just do it. You know, just watch it and see what it's all about. And I was like, the reviews were coming in. People were hating it. So I'm like, oh boy, this is going to be a hoot. So like, what's this all about? And I'm like, you know what? I had a little bit of fun in there. I was appreciative of where they went with the story, but it's like Toy Story 4. If we never got it, I don't think we would have ever lost sleep over it.
Made me sad because it's the very first movie me and my husband went to a date on. That was our first date, was the original Matrix.
Oh, what a great choice.
Yeah. And we both loved it. And, you know, we'll put it on every couple years and like react our date or whatever. And so I was excited for this and put it on HBO, and the beginning scene happened. And I was like, are you kidding? Like, what? This is not how anything would work. It just, like, it made no sense to me. So I couldn't watch it anymore. I was just mad.
Once again, I thought Neil Patrick Harris was the best part of the whole movie.
Yeah.
He was really fun. He was entertaining. I will definitely admit that. Though, if I want to see him in a more entertaining role, I'll just go and watch Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I don't know. It was fine. I'll probably never watch it again.
Neither will I.
For me, that's kind of where it landed. I felt like when The Matrix came out, it was kind of perfect timing for artificial intelligence and technology and all of the things that we were seeing in 2004. It was fun. It was interesting. We were ready to embark on this, you know, journey down the inevitable. I mean, we all knew we were kind of changing and shifting in terms of technology, so it made sense. But when you take something from the past and you try to recreate it in the future to make it work, there has to be a level of perfection that transcends into your here and now. And it didn't do that. It did not translate at all, because we are so far advanced in technology that I don't feel that the movie gave that advancement justice.
Right.
And I feel like watching it from, you know, start to finish, I feel like this was one of those films that was created with the wrong intentions, because when we left off on the trilogy, Neo was fine. He was kind of caught in this space between the Matrix and reality, and he was just there. He did what his set purpose was. He went and he saved the real world from the Matrix, and Trinity died, and that was okay. And I think that part of what happens in the society that we now live in is we can't cope with death very well. And so we have to bring our favorite characters back to life. And so I feel like this Matrix was created with the intent to resurrect Trinity and give us the love story that we never got with the Matrix. And either we were going to get it or we weren't. And we all kind of hoped for that happily ever after, that Neo and Trinity would go off into the digital 8-bit sunset, but it didn't happen. And that's okay. But now we got this mess that is whatever we just watched, because it didn't need to happen. Was it funny? Sometimes.
Yeah.
Were there moments of, you know, okay, that was kind of cool, like, you know, what Gina had said in the beginning, it was kind of meta at first because of the whole video game concept.
Yeah.
And we all remember that, you know, when, especially with the Animatrix, you know, we were all dying for that Matrix game to happen. But the problem is after we got over the reality of the video game, then we got into this regurgitated, watered down version of what the Matrix was. There was absolutely no reason why Lawrence Fishburne should not have been in this movie.
Same with Hugo Weaving.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I understand the idea and the concept of we're kind of going back, so we need a younger version. but hello, then why not do that with the entire cast? You know, I
Right.
just felt like he got the short end of the stick.
You do know the reason why so many people went to see that movie? That movie, the original Matrix, it came out at the perfect moment in time. It came out at the time when people were still so fucking excited to go see Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, and they had to wait 3 more months for that movie to come out. But The Matrix shows up in March. So to hold over everybody who was waiting for Star Wars, here's a cool science fiction movie for you all to see. Everybody went to see it because they just needed to see something to wait to help them wait. And because of that, it became a phenomenon.
Yes and no, because I don't necessarily agree with that. I do agree with, yes, okay, it was a science fiction movie, but this was sci-fi that we had never seen before. And I do think, much like fiction, in movies, you do get this element of science fiction every decade or so that really just kind of throws the world for, you know, kind of flips them on their head, I guess, because people that don't normally gravitate to science fiction see a movie that they can kind of relate to and kind of just get involved in. And I think the idea and the concept, and by The Matrix, I just mean the original first film, because the second and the third are kind of up in the air, as we've all said here. But I think the cool thing about The Matrix was the idea of, if you were Neo, if you were placed in that really cool chair, what would you do? Would you take the red pill or the blue pill? And that really started a conversation for people that were not necessarily into science fiction at the time, you know? And I think that's a really cool thing for pop culture. And I think that aside from waiting for Star Wars, I think that really gave science fiction a face or a dot on the map at that time. So I think it was revolutionary for the time. But again, I preface by saying that was cool then, not now, because they didn't advance the technology enough in the film to speak to me now in 2022 like they did in 2004. And so now for me, it feels like kind of what Myers did with Midnight Sun and the Twilight Saga. They gave me this film that was watered down, and it was intended to be this love story that just kind of made me hate it, you know? And I don't want to go in hating something that I did honestly love. And I did like all 3 films. I didn't love the second and the third as much as the first, but I hated Midnight Sun, and it made me hate Edward. And I have always been Team Edward. And I didn't need Midnight Sun. It was just a complete regurgitation of Twilight, told from Edward's perspective, and it was utter garbage. That's what I felt like this Matrix film was. It just was a big waste of time for me as a fan.
Yeah. Another movie that really disappointed me was Being the Ricardos, and I didn't go to see that in theaters. I went to see that on Amazon Prime. Now, I may not be the most avid I Love Lucy fan, but I love that show. Every episode that I've seen has made me laugh, and I've seen all the iconic ones. So I was really excited to see a movie about Lucille Ball, particularly because of the fact that Aaron Sorkin directed it, and I already was 2 for 2 when it came to Aaron Sorkin directing films. As a screenwriter, he's written some of my favorite movies. The Social Network is one of my all-time favorite films. Molly's Game is a very underappreciated movie. The Trial of the Chicago 7 is a fantastic film. So knowing that he was going to direct a movie about Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz, I was like, oh man, this is going to be great. And it sucked. And the reason why I felt that it sucked had nothing to do with the acting or the directing. It was the wrong story to tell. Well, first of all, I never knew this about Lucille Ball, that she was labeled a communist. I never knew that. But I just didn't want to see that story. I wanted to see more of Lucy playing Lucy on the show. I will say the highlight of that film was Javier Bardem as Desi Arnaz. He was fantastic. Javier Bardem is fantastic. And Nicole Kidman really surprised me as well. She really, at some point in time, I felt like she was actually Lucille Ball. I really do. But the movie itself, I could have been fine without it. I just wish that it was a different story as opposed to what we actually got.
I was gonna go see it, and then I saw your review, and then my friend also, like, multiple people like on Letterboxd I've seen very low scores. So it's like, yeah, I'm good.
I didn't watch it.
I turned it on for about 10 minutes and it just, the way it started off, it didn't really appeal to me. And then I started watching the documentary that her daughter did about a decade ago and kind of got vested in that, which was, you know, it was charming. It was said from a family perspective and everything, but given the reviews that it's gotten, it just didn't really suck me back in. And I think this kind of happens when we don't know what to say anymore about certain celebrities, and especially ones that don't really have a tarnished image. It's like we dig and dig and dig until we create this I don't know, this less than shiny penny that we have to just throw out in the universe. And it's like, can't we just let people be? Can't we just let their legacy lie and just be happy with what they've done for us and the content that they've produced, and, you know, just enjoy that? But you're never going to stop a filmmaker. You're never going to stop a mind. And as long as there's financing to create these projects, they're going to be there. So it's probably not one I'll go back and revisit just because of, you know, like I said, what I've heard about it. I do typically gravitate to negative reviews, though, whether it be in the written form or in cinematic form, because I like to kind of prove people wrong and be like, oh, but you missed this, and oh, this was great. But when it comes to Lucy and Des, I don't want a tarnished image. I like my Lucy and Des the way that they are in my heart and in my mind.
Now, a great film that portrayed a great person that I saw, and I know Gina saw it as well, was American Underdog, starring Zachary Levi and Anna Paquin. The story of Kurt Warner trying his hardest to become a pro football player and not only getting to the NFL, but actually in the year that he is asked to step up as the quarterback for the St. Louis Rams, wins one of the greatest Super Bowls that I ever witnessed. What a game that was against the Tennessee Titans.
It was a big year here.
Oh, yeah, for sure, because Gina's a St. Louis girl, and she was a Rams fan while they were there. I got to ask you a question, though, Gina. Do you still root for the Rams now that they're no longer in your city?
I don't really do football. That year was probably the only year I actually paid attention, because everyone was talking about it, and like I was a kid that year as well.
I
knew
about
it's just kind of there.
Yeah, I knew about the story of Kurt Warner, knowing that at one point in time he was stocking shelves at a supermarket. So knowing that Zachary Levi was going to play him, I was like, oh man, this is going to be good. And it was a very charming movie. I don't think it was the best movie. And, you know, when I walked out of the theater, I said to myself, I'm going to buy this on DVD. I'm going to watch it again. But I don't see myself doing that, to be honest with you, anymore. It sort of faded fast. Still glad I saw it, though. As a matter of fact.
I would watch it again. It surprised me.
Yeah, it was very good.
I saw the trailer of it. I want to say I saw the trailer before Spider-Man, maybe. But I saw the trailer, and my immediate thought was, oh God, why are we doing a Kurt Warner movie? Like, why is this a thing? And then, because I'm not really a football person, I almost said baseball. That's how much of a non-hockey person I am. But because I know the story. I know his story. I lived it. It was huge here. And then the further the trailer went on, and once I realized it was Zachary Levi, I went, great, I'm going to go see a football movie. So I saw it reluctantly because I like Zachary Levi so much, and I loved it.
Well, the thing is, there haven't
really well done.
Personally, there are very few movies about football that I personally think are truly, truly great. I mean, like Rudy, Remember the Titans, those are great, great movies. This was a movie that I'm glad they made because I really feel that Kurt Warner's story, because, you know, you take a look at some of the greatest quarterbacks of all time in the game, like especially from when people like myself and Cammy were growing up. You think of the Joe Montanas of the world. You think of the John Elways of the world, the Brett Favres of the world. The fact that Kurt Warner can be mentioned alongside those truly iconic names is a beautiful thing to behold. Mm-hmm. That's, to me, that is something that's truly special. But the thing is, the fact that he was chosen to be put on what was known at the time the greatest show on turf, this extremely expensive football team, and before that team, the Rams were a joke. They were
Oh, yeah.
always losing. They were never taken seriously. So, of course, knowing that they were going to the Super Bowl that year, and I still remember watching the highlights of those seasons and thinking about the names like Isaac Bruce and Marshall Faulk and remembering Chris Bourbon's comments on all these guys. I'm like, oh, baby, this is going to be really – it's a very – cute, very charming film. Kurt Warner, I can definitely believe, is that kind of a person that was portrayed on film. Truly.
I think the reason why I paid so much attention to that Super Bowl is because we even did projects about it in school, like our art projects. We colored football helmets, the colors of the Rams colors. We did like spelling tests with the Rams football terms and stuff. Like, it was huge. And so I don't know, I didn't really care to see it, but it was Zachary Levi, and it really surprised me. And it was a really good cast all around. Like, once I realized it was Anna Paquin, I was like, oh, okay, I really like her. And then Adam Baldwin, it was really fun seeing him and Zachary Levi on screen together again, because Chuck is like my favorite show. So as soon as I realized it was him, I started going like this in the theater, and my friend looked at me, he's like, what is wrong with you? I'm like,
and also seeing Dennis Quaid as Dick Vermeil, like, that was a crazy choice as well.
Right? They all worked real well with their roles.
Okay,
it's pretty good.
The last movie that I saw that really, really surprised me, like, one of the few things that I will say is I saw a bunch of animated films in 2021. And if Disney ends up taking the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature for 2021, I am going to be pissed beyond recognition, because The Mitchells versus the Machines, I think, is the best animated film of 2021. That movie is brilliant.
I just watched that like a week ago.
Isn't that a great movie?
It's so good.
I finally got Jen to see it because it came out on Blu-ray, and she loved it. But she still hasn't sat down and watched the other great animated film that I saw, Ron's Gone Wrong. That movie is adorable. I love it. It is
really cute.
It is so funny.
That's pretty good.
I am not a Zach Galifianakis fan. I want to say that right off the bat. But him voicing that robot next to Jack Dylan Grazer was just such a great casting idea. And this is a movie that was very thoughtful. Again, another movie, what's so interesting is that both of these movies, Mitchells vs. the Machines and Ron's Gone Wrong, really does something different by using the concept of social media and technology in a kid's film and shows you the positives and the negatives, right in front of your face. I think that is brilliant. If you two ladies did not see that movie yet, you have to see Ron's Gone Wrong. It's on Disney Plus. It is fantastic. It is so funny.
Never heard of it.
It's adorable.
On my
It's
radar.
very cute.
It came out in theaters in October, and no one went to see it. But apparently when it started streaming, everybody started watching it, and everybody loved it. Okay, so there's a couple of additional things on our list, and I want to make sure that everybody else is going to talk because I've actually done. I mean, the only other thing that I actually wanted to talk about was a comic book that I read called Arrowsmith by Kirk Busayek. A brand new spin-off of this original book from 2003 just came out. It's a very interesting story. It is basically World War I, but with wizards and dragons. And I think that it is brilliantly written. It actually feels like a World War I story. The thought bubbles are even like someone writing letters to a loved one or a family member. It's a brilliant story. I thought the 6 issues were great. And the second series, Behind Enemy Lines, Arrowsmith Behind Enemy Lines, just came out. Love the first issue. So I want to hear from the rest of you. I know that you, Gina, watched the brand new Dexter show, and you're also watching Sex in the City for the first time.
Yeah. So the reboot for Sex and the City came out, and I've only seen the movies. I never seen the TV show, but the new show, they reference the TV show a lot because duh. And so I finally started watching it. I'm really enjoying it. It's surprising me. I'm glad that I didn't watch it forever ago, like when the movies were coming out, because I don't think I would have related as well being a teenager and not being in my 30s. Like, since all the characters are in their 30s, like, it's more relatable. So, like, I just finished season 2 the other night, and it's surprising.
Who wants to hear a dark secret about Steve? Steve actually watched a few episodes of Sex and the City, and there's one specific episode that I thought was absolutely brilliant. Gina, I don't know if you've ever watched it, but all I know that it involves Samantha and the Sharper Image, and it is hilarious.
Not sure I've gotten there.
I don't think you have.
I
think it's a little further. I think it's a little further into the series.
Okay.
And
when I get
funny.
there.
It's funny that you said that, because that's exactly what happened with me in The Sopranos. I watched The Many Saints of Newark, loved it, started watching the show. I'm officially on season 4.
Nice.
I am finding so many distractions right now. My newest distraction is Peacemaker, starring John Cena. My God, that show is brilliant.
Is it? I want to watch that.
I will just watch the opening credit scene. That's all you need.
Okay.
The opening credits created such a buzz, it broke Twitter to the point where
geez.
HBO Max just put the opening credits of Peacemaker on their YouTube channel so people
that's
can watch
great.
the opening scene every single time they ever want. And Cammie, you're someone who would appreciate it because there are so many references to hair metal.
Oh, fantastic. I
Speaking
need
of
something to watch anyways, because Ozark didn't release the entire season 4. They only released half of it. So
My mom was
flew through
complaining
that
about
in
that.
2 days. So
But that reminds
like,
me.
come on, we've been waiting for it for a whole year. Give us the whole damn thing, you know? And then they end on possibly the worst cliffhanger, and it's kind of like a double cliffhanger, because the way the season started, you kind of anticipate that's going to be the season finale, and then here we are kind of halfway through season 4, and that's where it stops. So I don't know, I'm pins and needles, and I just want the rest of the season, please. So yeah, I need something to binge, so I will gravitate to that.
Well, that's a question that I have for you, Cammie, because I know that you're such a big fan of this specific person, but are you planning to, well, I don't even know, do you even have Hulu?
I do now, because I just got a new iPhone because I'm cool again. So I got the iPhone, well, I got the Pro, so I'm cool again. It's got an amazing camera, by the way. Well, with my upgrade, I got Disney Plus again, which comes with Hulu. So now I'm cool again on multiple levels, guys.
So are you planning to watch Pam and Tommy?
I am, yes, very much so. It is definitely on my radar.
Because we saw the trailer.
I was so obsessed with Pamela Anderson and Tommy and their entire relationship, their children, every anecdote, because I am a huge Pamela Anderson fan. It wasn't until the last 5 years that she got a little bit crazy, but I think that there is a certain level of fame one reaches that when they run out of new ideas, they kind of just start grasping and finding ways to get back in the headlines, and I just feel that's kind of where Pam is at in her career. But I mean, I have her books that she wrote. I watched all of her television shows. I loved VIP. I am a huge VIP fan, as stupid as that show is. I love it. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it. Well,
that's the thing, because like my wife is a big fan of Sebastian Stan, and I'm a big fan of Lily James. So I saw the trailer, and my God, those two really disappeared into those roles.
Yeah, they did.
No, I'm really surprised it's a television show and not a film. I think that would work more as a film than a TV show.
I didn't know it was going to be a TV show.
Yeah, it's a TV show.
Interesting.
Okay, so Gina, what about Dexter? I've never watched it.
Oh my God, you should. It's so good. So the reboot, a lot of people were looking forward to the reboot to fix the final season. I am definitely on the minority of I liked the final season. The final season of Dexter ended a lot of people didn't like it. I thought it was very clever. I thought it was, maybe it didn't feel completely like something Dexter would do, but I think it worked. And so the reboot picks up 10 years later, and it was I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. And then the finale of it, I was bawling. It's a very good reboot, or it's not even a reboot. It's just a continuation. And it was just very, very good. Dexter's definitely one of my favorites. And so there's also talk of making a Chuck movie, which I would also be very excited about. But
I think my wife would be interested in that. She did watch Chuck.
I watch Chuck at least once a year. Like, I have seen the entire series at least 10 times.
That's awesome. I actually also watched Mean Streets, by the way, Cammie. I know that I tried to watch it last year and I never got a chance. Not really one of my favorites, but what I appreciate about it is like when I take a look at Martin Scorsese's first big film, I'm like, okay, I could totally see where he's going. I mean, because what's really funny about me is like, I don't really care much for anything that Martin Scorsese directed pre-Goodfellas. Like, I'm not a fan of Taxi Driver. I'm not. I thought that Raging Bull was a good movie, but it's not a movie that I'm going to watch like any single chance I get. But like Martin Scorsese, Goodfellas, and Forward, love everything that he did. You know, Wolf of Wall Street, Silence, The Irishman, Casino, The Departed, like those are some of my all-time favorite films. But everything before Goodfellas
Everything
that he...
except for The Departed.
Yeah, I know you're not a fan. I know you're not a fan.
Well, I'm a huge Scorsese fan, but I think that the reason I can appreciate his earlier works is because I was a film, I don't want to call myself a film student by any means. I was a journalism major, but I took a lot of film courses as my extracurriculars. And I kind of took it a step further. Anything that I really genuinely loved, I was like, oh, is there other classes, you know, instead of just the introductory course? So I took a lot of film classes and I really just honed in on those classic films, and I did, you know, a whole history of films. And I love his early work for what it is, for the road that it paved. And so I guess maybe when I watch them, I watch them from a very deep level, and I have a huge appreciation. But he's also one of my all-time favorite directors for a number of reasons.
He just knows how to do great things with Robert De Niro. It doesn't matter what movie Robert De Niro stars in for him. He's one of those directors that will take any actor and just make them do something absolutely spectacular. I mean, for me personally, I was not a big Leonardo DiCaprio fan because of what was going on with him in the early 90s and late 90s with movies like Titanic and stuff like that. Like, I thought that he was so overrated. And it wasn't until he did two specific movies with two specific directors that my whole attitude about Leonardo DiCaprio changed. The first one was Catch Me If You Can, which is one of my favorite Steven Spielberg films. That movie is actually celebrating its anniversary this year. I need to rewatch that movie. But then he does Martin Scorsese's The Departed. I'm like, holy crap, this guy really is a great actor. And I was shocked that he didn't win Best Actor for The Wolf of Wall Street. I really was shocked. But I'm glad that he did win for Iñárritu's The Revenant, because The Revenant is a very, very unique film. He did a great job in that film.
I'm really glad that Marty pulled DiCaprio under his wing, because, I mean, like you said, he did great things for Bobby's career. He did great things for Pacino's career. And I say it like as if we're buddies, you know, Bobby and Al. Yeah, okay, we go way back.
And then Tarantino gets his claws on DiCaprio, and he makes two excellent movies with Tarantino as well. I mean, I love DiCaprio in Django Unchained. He is so good in that movie. He makes me laugh so much.
One of my favorite movies. There's just something about that film, the acting, the grittiness. It's such a good film.
You know, it's funny because a long time ago in my earlier years of YouTube, my friends and I were talking about what is the best Tarantino film. And we all didn't even think about it, but we all realized that it's Django Unchained. Every single time I watch that movie, it just gets better with every watch. I mean, I love Pulp Fiction. I love Reservoir Dogs, Inglourious Bastards. I adore that film. But
I was about to ask, is it Inglourious Bastards a Tarantino? Because that's my favorite Tarantino, hands down. I love
it's
that
a great film, so but good. Django Unchained is just something cut above the rest. I don't know. Maybe it's because Don Johnson's in the movie. I don't know. But I love Django Unchained to death. And yes, also, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Another actor that Tarantino works wonders with is Brad Pitt. He does wonders with Brad Pitt.
He's special. He's a very special director, and I think that he's got such an incredible gift for the eye of finding the talent in the character, because when he finds an actor who is already remarkable all their own, they just kind of melt into a Tarantino role. And I don't know, there's just something uniquely special about him as a director.
So there's one last thing here on the list that I must ask you, Cammie. You read a comic book that I didn't. You read Darkhold
Oh.
Omega. I don't know anything about this book. Nobody in the comic book community is talking about it. I know there's a couple of other Darkholds, and a couple of, because again, I think I'm missing that one with Marvel's Dark Ages. So what the hell is going on in Darkhold?
Okay, so let me preface by saying I don't want to butcher the Marvel world because you know me, I'm a DC girl by heart and I know DC characters. I know nothing of Marvel or the Marvel universe. It was simply this cover that drew me in and I'm like, oh, what fresh hell is this? This looks beautiful. I couldn't tell if they were vampires, if they were zombies. I was like, I don't care what this is, I have to have it. And then I noticed the Marvel label and I was like, that's okay. I'm gonna learn as I go. And I learned about this amazing character called Chthon, and Chthon now owns my heart because this guy is a god and he's like the center of hell. He is a god that was here before Earth was, he created Earth. I mean, there's just so much evil that surrounds this. So essentially we have characters, like I said, I know nothing about them. This was my first exposure to Doctor Doom, to Wanda, to Vision, to I don't even know all the characters. I know Iron Man is in here, Bat something or another. I'm gonna butcher this. So essentially you have like 5 main characters that hang out with Iron Man. Oh, Spider-Man is in here. But well, the whole thing really centers around Wanda and Doom. So let's just put it out there. Now, please tell me, because you guys, I know both of you are into Marvel. Please tell me in some alternate universe, Wanda and Doom hook up. Please tell me that this happened somewhere.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know, but
Okay.
yeah.
There is so much like unintended sexual tension between Doom and Wanda in this comic. It's perfection, and I kind of felt voyeuristic in a way because I'm like, okay, tell me they're gonna hook up now, right? Like they're together. And then I had this moment where I'm like, wait, there's that show WandaVision. So now Wanda gets knocked up by Vision. So isn't she like his wife or something? And I hated it because I'm like, no, she needs to be with Doom. Like Doom is perfect for her because he's such an egomaniac and she is such a bitch, even though she's a witch. But I mean, it's fantastic. So you have Dr. Doom has unearthed the Darkhold, which is like this book. It's like the ultimate evil. And so you have where Iron Man, Spider-Man, and his posse, I don't even know. Hold on. Let me get the names for you because you guys are probably like, what the hell is this chick? She's on.
No. You've talked about a lot of characters I know. I'm reading a lot about these characters in various comic books at the moment.
I'm trying. Okay, so we have Iron Man, Spider-Man, the Wasp, Blade, and Black Bolt. Those are our characters.
Oh, Black Bolt's a great character.
I loved all of these characters for all different reasons, but they read the Darkhold, and in this text, it opens up this part of their brain where they see themselves in a different world, like an evil version of themselves. And so then they get sucked up. So Wanda has to make this happen. Like she already has this plan on how to basically trap the evil and get it back into the book where it belongs. So Abysma, they go into like this alternate realm and they are their alternate egos, and then they're essentially kind of battling Wanda and Doom to get to the basis of Darkhold and unlock this like elder evil. And so they want to essentially kill Darkhold or like kill the idea so that they can remain evil and like the ultimate evil. There's just so much dark and there's just so much death and there's just so much evil, and I can't get enough of this, and I need more of it. And I don't think the other one's going to come out until March, but this happens to be my new obsession. And if you don't have it, you should have it, and you need to read it. And I just need more of Dr. Doom. I need more of Wanda, and I need to know in what alternate universe they hook up, because if they don't hook up, then somebody needs to write that story yesterday because it needs to happen.
I'm glad you like it, plain and simple.
I really feel like one of those basement nerds right now that is just waiting for this romance to open up, and I'm not that kind of comic book reader. I swear, I really hate romances in comic books, but the only other one that I can compare it to is the Lois Lane Lex Luthor. I'm a fan of that too.
Yeah, in Red
I
Sun,
really
yeah.
think that's where my brain went, that ultimate evil hookup. But this is so good. And I need to know more about Chthon. And I know that he also recently made a list of, there's a YouTube channel that kind of deals with all things nerd and pop culture. And he made the list of the ultimate demigod. And so obviously this guy has this huge evil past and I need to know more about him. So I am now on a quest to find all things Chthon and learn more about his history and who he is and what this Darkhold book is. And I need to find a physical copy of it so I can display it in my world of evil. Even though this is my world of happy Disney, but I do have an evil layer.
That is definitely a great way to close off the first episode of season 2 of The Old, the New, and the Awesome. So I'm looking forward to seeing what else 2022 has in store for us. I have a feeling that next month our load is going to be a little bit lighter because I know for a solid fact that I don't foresee myself going to the movies at all. But there still will be some good things in store. And I'm looking forward for everyone here to be back. I'm hoping that you're all excited to come back for another episode. And in the meantime, everyone, we will see you in the next one. If you enjoyed the video you just watched, feel free to leave a comment. Also, feel free to subscribe if you want to be up to date with our latest videos. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll see you in the next one. Actions speak louder than words.